This is the High School Crossfire. Welcome back.
Resolved, Martha is my name, and Lakeside College is the school. Ladies and gentlemen, the first negator stood here and she spoke about that they are coming as the international wars. Ladies and gentlemen, we as the farmers, we came as the geopolitical wars, which includes the civil wars, the international wars, political wars, and very many other types of wars, which means they are on our side. Ladies and gentlemen, the first negator came and said that they have genuine reason for these wars. Ladies and gentlemen, let's have one of the best examples that Uganda had with Kenya over the Migosi Island. They took their reasons to the ICJ, and their results and their problems were solved without having a war. That's why we as the farmers, we are advocating for peaceful means instead of advocating for wars. We as the farmers, we are not advocating for wars. Why? Wars violates one's right to life, as many combatants and non-combatants lose their lives at the end of the day. Ladies and gentlemen, how can you say that these people deserve this? These people do not deserve this. It was recorded on 12th March 2023 that 8,231 deaths, whereas 13,734 people were injured. This is according to www.forbes.com. These people didn't really deserve this, ladies and gentlemen. That's why we are coming as the farmers to fight against these wars. Ladies and gentlemen, wars lead to economic fallout of states. Ladies and gentlemen, putting human costs aside, wars lead to economic costs, damage of the infrastructure, a decline in the working population, inflation, shortages, uncertainties, a rise in debt and destruction, no more to economic variety. Ladies and gentlemen, we look at this recent war, the Russia and the Ukraine war. Ladies and gentlemen, Russia's infrastructure that has been damaged, it is worth 108 billion, ladies and gentlemen, and yet you come and say that the negators have reason for these wars, yet their infrastructure has been damaged. Ladies and gentlemen, this is according to www.forbes.com. Ladies and gentlemen, in September 2022, the World Bank went ahead to estimate that rebuilding Ukraine's infrastructure, it will require 349 billion shillings, something that is greater than what? Ukraine's pre-invasion GDP. Ladies and gentlemen, do you think that Ukraine is going to repair this infrastructure in just 1 year, in just 2 days? That cannot happen. Ladies and gentlemen, petty countries that are exporting goods to Ukraine, petty countries that have been importing goods from Ukraine. Ladies and gentlemen, there are many countries that are suffering because of these wars. Ladies and gentlemen, that's why we as the farmers of the day, we can't stand here and advocate for such a things. Ladies and gentlemen, in our last line of argument, the wars have poisoned the diversity and life of every form. Ladies and gentlemen, if it has poisoned the diversity, which means our agriculture is coming down, we have the World War. This is according to www.lentech.com. World War was one of the most damaging wars, where they had to dig trenches to use their explosive guns. Ladies and gentlemen, we also have another one, that is Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Up to today, people are still being born with one ear. People are still being born with weird things. Ladies and gentlemen, we cannot stand here and advocate for such a things. That's why we as the farmers, we are saying we are going to criminalize wars. We are going to remove weapons from those countries that are going to fight. Ladies and gentlemen, we are going to take our cases to the ICJ in order to have peace. We are advocating for peace. We are in the 21st century. Ladies and gentlemen, we want sustainable development, and you come here to advocate for wars. Ladies and gentlemen, with that, I therefore rest my case.
My name is Martha Gabriela from Rubaga Girls, speaker number 2 from Team Negative. Resolved. Our dear judges, the farmers come here and tell us that they're advocating for peace. But how? Then if you're not advocating for war, then what should we do? You're telling us you're advocating for peace and you're going to take this matter to the ICC. But ICC, we all know the processes of court take long, and we're talking about self-defense. You can't come and attack me and I'll be like, oh my God, let me sit down and wait for them to take me should I take them to ICC? We are talking about self-defense and about the issue of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. It was an act of self-defense from the US. The US was actually defending herself and defending her property because German came and destroyed the Pearl Harbor, and that was an act of defense because the US was protecting our property and protecting our citizens. Because before German, and in the first place, we all know that US never wanted to take part in the Second World War. But then denied. Just because German came and destroyed the Pearl Harbor, US had to come in and fight to defend their state. And we also talk about denied, please. We also talk about war as an instrument of peace. Dear judges, I would like to bring it to your table that, for example, the war that was fought between the NRA rebels and the Obote's government, president by that time, brought in peace. This war brought in peace. It took away the government that was cruel and harsh to the people, and brought in peace, an element of peace. From this war that was fought and brought in peace, we see Uganda as a democratic country, a country that fights for human rights, a country that supports human rights, a country that supports all people in their perspectives. Dear judges, I would love to to inform our dear farmers that they are talking about peace, but we all know the processes that they are advocating for are going to take long. Actually, they are going to take long. And then by the time when we talk about defense, we also talk about defense of national property. For example, the embassy, the national flag, the national army. If someone attacks the national flag, it means this person is directly advocating for war, and this person is calling for war. So we should give them what they want. If you advocate for war by attacking my embassy or attacking the country's flag, it means you're actually calling for war. So we are going to give you what we are going to fight. We are going to fight for human rights. And according to the Act 43 of Geneva Convention of 1949 and 1977, war as an act of defense is actually justified because we are fighting to defend our country. We are fighting to defend our property. We are fighting to defend the civilians. And in the case of Russia and Ukraine, it's actually justified for Ukraine to fight in this war because Ukraine is fighting. Russia attacked Ukraine first. So on the sake of Russia attacked Ukraine first, and on the side of Ukraine, it's justified for it to fight because you're not going to sit down and look at Russians killing people from Ukraine and be like, oh God, we should wait for the ICC, as they are claiming that we should wait for the ICC to take action. And they keep on telling us that they're advocating for peace. But how? The only fact that is going to bring in peace is the war. Our dear judges, I also talk about defense of another country. You can't come. For example, let me give the East African community. We are all, Uganda and Tanzania, they are both members of the East African community. For example, Kenya attacks Tanzania. Obviously, Uganda shall come in and fight for it because it's our neighbor, and we are defending our neighbors. And a war that is fought to defend our neighbors or defend our partnership is actually justified. Our dear judges, I rest my case by saying we are going to fight. We shall go into war to protect our nation's state property, and most of all, we are going to fight to protect the human rights. I rest my case.
This is the High School Crossfire. We'll be back in a minute.